The plight of Sudan's refugees has come to represent a war that no one knows how to end. Here at the Kiryandongo refugee settlement in northern Uganda, a surge in numbers has put a terrible strain on African and international resources. Boasting the continent's most generous refugee policy, even Uganda is running out of answers. The war in Sudan separated Sarah Ibrahim and her 9 children from her husband. They ran separate ways as bombs flew over their heads in Sudan's Darfur region.
We get the car directly to the populace, small rural area. We stay there. Then I will try to call to my husband. I get it, my husband in the another side from my country. He said, no, don't come again. Take the children to any place and send me the small money.
That other place, this refugee camp, has been home for 2 months now. Refugee camps like this one largely depend on international donations and the generosity of host countries, but none of that guarantees a safe and certain future. This is the holding center where new arrivals are registered before they are taken to the settlement. But with nearly 200 refugees arriving every day, the facility is over its capacity of around 400 people. Authorities here are struggling to find space for all of them. It's not just Uganda, where the UN says some 50,000 Sudanese have sought refuge as of August. Of more than 2 million Sudanese refugees, over a quarter of them are in Chad. Egypt shelters 500,000, while Libya and the Central African Republic, South Sudan and Ethiopia have also taken in tens of thousands of Sudanese refugees. Regional governments are increasingly desperate for a peaceful end to the conflict. There have been several stabs at brokered peace talks, but these attempts suffer from a lack of coordination. Experts largely agree that the involvement of outside players that arm and support opposing sides also narrows the likelihood that an Africa-only intervention would succeed.
There are lessons to learn from Libya when weapons came in from all across the world and found its way to the Sahel and to sub-Saharan Africa. So the possibility that the weapons coming into Sudan can even fall into the hands of terrorist elements, especially in the Sahel region, is quite high. It is in the interest of IGAD and the other sub-regional bodies there to ensure there's peace in the country, because what happens in Sudan would ultimately affect them.
Transition mission.
Pushing for democratic reform has been the African Union's focus, suspending Sudan from the bloc until a civilian-led government is formed. The AU has also threatened punitive measures if Sudan's military leaders fail to hand over power to a civilian government. So far, those calls have fallen on deaf ears.
The time for reason, dialogue and inclusive politics is now. The people of Sudan deserve peace, and the EU remains steadfast at their side.
The Intergovernmental Authority on Development, known as IGAD, has met with leaders from opposing sides. It's working towards a ceasefire, echoing the AU's call for a democratically elected government. While Sudan's warring parties continue to shun both regional and international peace talks, ignoring calls to compromise, even when that call comes from a powerful and influential African leader, such as Uganda's president.
Every small thing is war, everything war. This is ideological shallowness in our view. So therefore, in our discussion, we captured this, and we really think the parties in the world must stop these unprincipled wars.
There has been growing criticism from many quarters that African solutions to African problems cannot be an excuse for inaction. For Sarah and the tens of thousands of refugees here at this camp, inaction means there is nowhere else to go, and both hosts and refugees can only do what little they can for as long as they can. Isabel Nakirya, CNA Kirandongo Refugee Settlement in northern Uganda.